Have you ever found yourself in a kitchen nightmare, wondering why your fresh produce turns into a sad, soggy mess? Have you ever opened your fridge to find a tomato that tastes like cardboard, or worse, looks like it's been through a war zone? Or a potato that's gone soft as a baby's backside, losing all its firm, starchy goodness? You're storing them wrong, you hear me? It's not just about shoving everything into the fridge and hoping for the best. There's a bloody science to this. And some foods just weren't meant to be subjected to the icy wasteland of your refrigerator. The cold can actually ruin the texture and flavor of certain produce. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to take you on a culinary crash course and show you exactly which foods you need to keep out of the fridge. Trust me, your taste buds will thank you. We're talking about saving flavor, preserving texture, and avoiding a culinary catastrophe. Imagine biting into a tomato that bursts with flavor, or a potato that's perfect for mashing or roasting. Get ready to revolutionize the way you store your food. By the end of this, you'll be a food storage maestro, knowing exactly where to keep each item for maximum freshness and taste. Let's start with tomatoes. These vibrant, juicy fruits are best kept at room temperature. The cold air of the fridge can make them mealy and dull their flavor. Instead, place them on your kitchen counter or in a fruit bowl. They'll stay fresh and flavorful for longer. Next up, potatoes. These starchy staples should be stored in a cool, dark place, like a pantry or a cupboard. The fridge can turn their starches into sugars, making them overly sweet and gritty. Onions and garlic also prefer a dry, well-ventilated space. The fridge's humidity can cause them to sprout and spoil faster. And don't even think about refrigerating bread. It goes stale much quicker in the cold. Keep it in a bread box or a paper bag on your counter. Fresh herbs like basil are another no-go for the fridge. They thrive in a glass of water on your windowsill, just like a bouquet of flowers. Avocados should ripen on the counter. Once they're ripe, you can move them to the fridge to slow down the process, but not before. Bananas are similar. Let them ripen at room temperature, and only refrigerate them if you want to slow down the ripening. By following these simple tips, you'll not only extend the life of your produce, but also enhance their flavors and textures. Your meals will taste fresher, and you'll waste less food. So, are you ready to transform your kitchen habits and become a food storage expert? Let's dive in and make your fridge fiasco a thing of the past. First on the chopping block is the humble tomato. This versatile fruit, often mistaken for a vegetable, is a staple in many kitchens around the world. From salads to sauces, its uses are endless. But there's one common mistake many of us make that can ruin its potential. Now, you might think you're being clever by keeping them chilled. But listen up. Storing tomatoes in the fridge might seem like a good idea to prolong their shelf life, but it comes at a cost. The cold environment of the refrigerator is not a friend to your tomatoes. The fridge is a flavor vampire for these little fellas. When you refrigerate tomatoes, the cold air wreaks havoc on their delicate cell structure. This results in a mushy texture that is far from the firm, juicy bite you expect. The flavor also takes a hit, becoming dull and lifeless. The cold air destroys their delicate texture, leaving them mealy and bland. Imagine slicing into a tomato, only to find it grainy and tasteless. It's a culinary tragedy that can be easily avoided. Think of a ripe, juicy tomato, bursting with flavor. The kind that makes your taste buds dance with delight. That's the tomato you want in your dishes, the one that elevates your cooking to new heights. That's what you're losing when you chuck it in the fridge. By subjecting your tomatoes to the cold, you're sacrificing that vibrant taste and perfect texture. It's a loss that no amount of seasoning can fix. Keep them at room temperature, you hear me? A cool, dry place on your counter is ideal. This allows the tomatoes to continue ripening naturally, enhancing their flavor and texture. Let them ripen on the counter, where their flavor can sing. Give them the chance to develop their full potential, and you'll be rewarded with tomatoes that are sweet, juicy, and bursting with flavor. So next time, resist the urge to refrigerate and let your tomatoes shine. Next up, potatoes. These bad boys need to breathe. Stick them in the fridge and you're going to turn their natural starches into sugar. That means you'll end up with potatoes that taste bland and overly sweet. A disaster, I tell you. Store them in a cool, dark place, like a pantry or cupboard. Give them some space to breathe, and they'll reward you with perfect roasties and fluffy mashed potatoes. Onions, those pungent little blighters, need air circulation to thrive. The fridge is their worst nightmare. It makes them go soft, moldy, and frankly, quite offensive to the nostrils. Store them in a cool, dry place with good ventilation. A mesh bag or a basket works a treat. And whatever you do, don't store them with potatoes. They release moisture that can make your onions spoil faster. Garlic. No cold shoulder for this flavor bomb. Garlic, the backbone of so many delicious dishes, is another ingredient that despises the cold. Refrigeration can cause it to sprout and turn bitter. Keep your garlic in a cool, dry place, away from direct sunlight. A small bowl or a basket on the counter is perfect. That way, it'll stay fresh and potent, ready to add a punch of flavor to your cooking. Bread. Keep it crusty, not cry-worthy. Listen up, bread lovers. Today, we're diving into the art of keeping your bread as fresh and delicious as the day it was baked. Whether you're a fan of sourdough, whole wheat, or a classic baguette, we've got the tips you need. First things first, stop shoving your loaves in the fridge. It might seem like a good idea, but it's actually one of the worst things you can do for your bread. The cold temperatures dry out the bread, making it stale faster than you can say sourdough. Plus, the fridge can sometimes cause mold to grow more quickly due to the moisture. Instead, keep your bread at room temperature in a bread bin or a paper bag. These storage methods allow the bread to breathe, maintaining its crusty exterior and soft interior. A bread bin is perfect for keeping your loaves fresh for a few days, while a paper bag is great for short-term storage. And if you want to keep it for longer, slice it up and freeze it. Freezing bread is a fantastic way to extend its life without sacrificing quality. Just make sure to wrap it tightly in plastic wrap or aluminum foil before placing it in a freezer bag. That way, you can toast it up and enjoy it fresh whenever you fancy. Simply pop a slice in the toaster straight from the freezer, and you'll have warm, delicious bread in minutes. So remember, keep it crusty, not cry-worthy, and enjoy every bite of your favorite bread. Honey. Don't crystallize this liquid gold. Honey, nature's liquid gold, is practically immortal when stored properly. But stick it in the fridge, and you'll ruin its beautiful texture. The cold causes it to crystallize and solidify, making it a right pain to use. Keep your honey in a sealed container at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. That way, it'll stay smooth, runny, and absolutely delicious. Coffee. Cold coffee? Don't even think about it. Coffee, the elixir of life, deserves better than the harsh environment of your refrigerator. The cold and humidity can wreak havoc on its flavor, leaving it tasting stale and bitter. Store your coffee beans or grounds in an airtight container at room temperature, away from heat and light. And for the love of God, don't even think about putting hot coffee in the fridge. Avocados. Ripening, not refrigerating. Avocados, those creamy green gems, are best kept out of the fridge, especially if you want them to ripen. The cold temperatures slow down the ripening process, leaving you with hard, flavorless avocados. Keep them at room temperature and let them ripen naturally. Once they're ripe, you can store them in the fridge for a day or two to slow down further ripening, but don't leave them in there for too long. Bananas. No monkey business. Keep them warm. Bananas, those tropical delights, are extremely sensitive to the cold. Refrigerating them will turn their peels black and make their flesh mushy. Keep your bananas at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. If you must store them in the fridge, wrap the stems in plastic wrap to slow down the browning process. But honestly, they're best enjoyed at room temperature. Olive oil. Don't freeze. This liquid gold. Olive oil, the king of healthy fats, doesn't need to be kept in the fridge. In fact, refrigeration can actually harm its flavor and texture. The cold temperatures can cause it to solidify and become cloudy. Store your olive oil in a cool, dark place, away from heat and light. A pantry or a cupboard is perfect. That way, it'll retain its flavor and quality for longer. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment below, and hit the bell for more health and wellness inspiration. Until next time, stay healthy and happy.